This is now a new rethinking or reflection video, and the things I'm accusing the unknown is that the whole life was nearly the same like with my forefathers, somehow politically illegal, not discriminated, but looking over the years, over the decades, with false, unknown things alongside, like doctors writing down things and then only to be found out when it is too late. Then it is said the years the doctors saw it, and it is not to be explained otherwise than to have some political aversion and understanding how the system works with the false excuse built in. With a false excuse built in. This is ridiculous that Donald Trump is wanting to buy Greenland. It is not for sale. This is a strange thing that only one face is seen behind Russia or in the political system of Russia. In former days, there had been explanation how the democratic system is working, and the arguments, the pros and cons to have the war or don't, or better not. And then what is the United Nations looking into it? Having detective work going on? Nothing there. It is not good work anymore, and I come to the suspicion, I don't know, that the DDR system is enlarged. There had been control over the media, and this of course not good. Me coming, stumbling across to the result, I cannot do anything. I'm already, because the strange surroundings, I had to accept it as the spirit of the times, that my character is not fitting in. I'm not difficult at all. But not having another explanation, I'm not difficult at all. If you knew me, I've not changed very much, and it is a thing that could, in the eastern parts of Germany, be possible to, for example, an engineer who came back from Russia, he was somehow shielded the whole surrounding, and this is not the case only with me then, but with my with my forefathers as well. I'm not interested too much to see faces that represent politics. This is another thing. I'm not interested too much in security, but it was necessary. Therefore, why are those faces not there who are in the discussion process? I don't know. And then this is a plan to have taxes to bring up production and the economy. If it does work, okay, but in my days, when I had been a child, there I saw the adult working new ideas, working on new ideas, and to bring new things on the market, like the personal computer, and then the software and production lines with different machineries and so on. Maybe this is not going on anymore because people who could be engineers without being studied, it had been possible. In my days, I say my days, it had been the time when I was wanted as someone having ideas. This is, I think, where the technology had been there, And there it had only been important to make a so-called Pflichtenheft. This is German, and it says it is the description of the wanted system. For example, this tank, it was at a time when the old plans had been legally contracted away. Then it had to be built up from scratch. And it had been necessary to have something, the people said, the politicians or the system, I don't know. And it was then with that what was on the market, had been on the market with some new modifications. And the same with the others. Therefore, today it is to understand where the people are and to find the production line. And this I already explained in other videos, and I want feedback. This was done that way, and it was somehow because of the unknown. And this is important. If there had been false play, then I expect the so-called politicians to have the excuse built in, and I do not accept it. And I'm not allowing that the errors are put on one shoulder. It had to be looked into it piece by piece. Why was not explained to me that I could do this description. It was a thing where then this Pflichtenheft was fulfilled. I think Messerschmitt Bolko Blom, it could have been inside of Airbus. And this is another thing. What is with Airbus? What is the whole thing? If there had been politicians thinking they could be the owners of what is on the market, this is not right. If you think I'm interested in that, you are wrong. It is the case that people fly, and in military it is important, and then it is used to attack and to defend. And it is the same like with the others. The engineers had been there, and this had been a thing with some French factories who had been the invention to have the most efficient propellers. And this is a thing as well, like with the others. And why had those ideas been brought to this house? Because my mother had the old networking built up anew, and she knew how to do it. More was not explained, and I need confirmation from those in the family, and those don't say anything. And this is not good. I feel being misused, and this is a little bit like a carrier for one helicopter. It could have been done more than that, but with this, I think it is the U-boat that is able to do things others can't, and the measurement is enough, and it is of course, like with other things, it had been planned well, and the so-called Pflichtenheft is important. And how was it that I somehow have a remembrance that the architect who drew it, the Zeichner, there had been an architect came to my house, and the mother said, she called me uncle, to have protection for the outside. This is for the outside appearance. If you have protection, but this is my interpretation. I didn't know it. I have to interpret very much to bring all those strange things, and it had been every day, visitors from South America, but those did not come in the house. We are rather poor, and the house had been filled with 7 people, and of course the tank had come out well. If you have good people, you can do it, and we are on the level of welfare all the time. Therefore, it had been done with some mission, not like churchmen, but it had to be done that way. And I understood that it is because the times had been evil. And then it was misused that the war was lost for the government, and people thought everyone in the country had to pay. And I don't say I ever gave in. Maybe others thought that way, and therefore I feel the urgency to state openly that it is not my ambition to pay for anything. It is the government that does, and it is on the shoulders of everyone who is living in the country, not only the born and their ancestors. And important that this came to my life. I was already, or I had already understood it is not working out. Mother had planned, Mother 1 and 2, and this is sure. It is not something like schizophrenic, but this is political, and I never have the idea to give in a little bit. People came to the house and asked for my counsel, for my mother's counsel, and she gave it to me. But some came directly, and I was in the disability, not because of that. But it started 2009, that false doctors, or doctors being pushed by politicians, I don't know, gave it too much with that. Of course, you're a little bit nervous if you had too much night shift, but it went to the system, to the heart, to the blood pressure system, mostly. You understand? There was the first start for me to be alarmed. And then it is that the doctors maybe had altogether false training, I don't know. Maybe are forced to look more at that point than on this. And then have no explanation, maybe have not understood that technology is not only used to help. Side effects are there, and maybe people had something against me, therefore not saying me that there is a political possibility, and I'm not accusing a political person. I'm only saying that I don't like politics. I like that what I did and what my mother did, and now understanding that people thought maybe I like to live like a churchman, or my mother, she was not wanting to do that. She was pressed, and she feared for her life. And now I understand this must have been from inside the nobility system, from other kingships. And I never understood, and I'm still not doing, and I'm not accepting people coming and wanting to have a party. It is not party, it is like a burial. Like a burial, like wearing black, and being mournful that this was possible. I asked quite openly, and politicians came and said, please don't come again. I went to the chancellor and had a questioning, and he said, "This is private. You may ask with an attorney who is helping the House of Prussia, and this attorney should know." But he couldn't. Now only understanding that he couldn't, but he did not find anything. Therefore, I thought this is a false idea of the very old mother. And this then 2009. And then I had to go to the doctors. I went before because of quite that what you expect if you had difficult birth. Too rash allergies, not very strong, but not weak, but a little bit in the need. And this was hidden, this difficult birth. It was said to me at the age of 7, this now has solved. In German, das hat sich verwachsen. It had not. But not being in the doctor's files, you can't do anything. If you explain it, people think, oh, suddenly it is coming up. He is making it up. And I think the doctors had to do it because of political pressure. Otherwise, I couldn't understand, or had it to be done because of that what is distance influence from a distance with manipulation. It is not my saying that a direct asking from politicians have been there. I'm not saying that. It could be indirectly. And indirectly, politicians do it if they say this man is making difficulty. He needs treatment, and it is not that it is not possible. It is no excuse. And I want to explain that this is really not an excuse, because no talk about ancestry with the doctors, no talk about ancestry. They never asked me anything, and then they say it is schizophrenic. This is stupidness from the doctors. You understand? And then I never was physical. Never. There was no attack to others. I was only loud. But I understand it was me being very stressed because of the false behaviorism, the false echoes. And then now understanding it could have been that I was maybe for years with false rumors. With false rumors. I never intended to build up a security system only. I was always saying that I would use that what I already learned from detective novels and from other books from the library, and there was quite a stuff about how to defend against spying on the architects, on the engineers, and this I wanted to do. Of course, you joke as a young man. It was for years then, from 1967 or 68, officially 68 I was born, and I never understood that it was wrong for the adult to say there was nothing, except a little bit difficult birth. Now coming and digging into it, myself, digging into it, leaving out the blood pressure medicine that had been false, leaving out the beta blocker that had been false, and of course being in a little bit risky situation, but I like it to understand. I take on the risk, but I'm not taking on the false rumors, and I need answers. I don't like the idea that people put it on a man or a woman. This is something I get, and there was no help from them. and then I understand maybe those have political ideas as well to follow. But who are those? I'm not too much interested in the faces. Is it in your newspaper as well? That you see faces? I want answers to the problems. What is that? This is from yesterday. Have you that in your newspaper as well? Who is that man? I don't know him. He had been in Hamburg, and then Chancellor. And she? Who is she? I had a little bit, maybe for 5 minutes, a talk. There had been, as I explained in other videos, the helping of my mother. She helped all her day, but she said you should have then the benefit that you already know a little bit, and of course more than that. And quality is of course a thing that will come out if mother and me worked on something. And this is not to give me the praise. It had been the case. But I do not want the idea that others say what I shall do. And the false rumors, then, if those had been believed, are very dangerous. Very dangerous. I was even asked to have a secret service being built in the Czech Republic. I didn't do that. And I didn't do it in Switzerland. Yes, the rumors of my forefathers have been quite good, and I don't know if it is true or not. I need documents. And you can't say, who's that idea to put him on the chair of what? Who is Mr. Weil, that he is saying who is the follower? Isn't that the voting of the parliament? And it is the day before, always faces. And where is something about the ideas? Something about the ideas to build up economy with new credits? I was never asked anything about it. It stopped when my mother was too old. Or was it because the intelligence of the DDR, of the eastern parts of Germany, had taken over? And we were not very much a follower. We had own ideas, and it was not to the pleasing of those. And then workers who had good quality had to look for a job, and some went to Switzerland, some to France, some to the Netherlands and Belgium, and maybe those then explain how it is a good manipulation going on in this country. It is not good that you... Who is Mrs. Klöckner? And I don't say that it is important to know them, but I want to know for what ideas those stand. What will come out of the thing if those have the position. I was never asked, and I was quite interested in politics. I was always following, but not the last years, not too much. Because having all this trouble, me only looking to explain what my mother, she was very old, and then at the end she was that disappointed, I had to take a photograph. And please look at the other videos. She was that disappointed. I show this. This is my mother with me, and the others were not in the whole raising program. And she said, first of all, I want to raise you as a Breslau man. And this is really true. Think about it. I'm now standing there as someone who is a liar, who's putting up things. And the world should please give me a little bit for my work. And there's no joke. There's no joke. I'm not going your way. I'm going my way. I had to ask because being felt verbally to be threatened, to ask someone in a special unit, and he then said it came in the wrong mind, in the wrong Hals, in German. It went to the wrong stomach. It does say he digested it wrong. He did not understand. I never had the idea to overthrow something. It was a real asking to understand if I would follow the diplomatic line. I needed an own exceptional security. And it is, of course, important that you do not believe it is ballistics only. It is everything. A good security is, of course, first of all, doing it by contract, not to go to the point that there is something going wrong. And, of course, medicine is there as well. I felt the disturbance that had officially been over, and I mean officially, because this then was my idea of business, to invent things. Somehow I understood people were working on it, to have this knife a little bit with more than only a knife, and then later a saw, and other things, a magnifying glass. And this, I remember, was a business idea as well, to put this together. And it had been doing always with the planning, then looking for people building it. And this is very, very easy. It is only a small thing. And this, I understood, had been first of all the security key. There came someone to this place. He said, I want to build a new lock. And there had been my mother and me, and I mean the elder, and you won't believe it, but maybe someone is interested. And I knew the kind of Breslau man, those had not the internet, but a friendship. And then 7 people, or 5 to 7, and everyone had to be a best of its kind, of his kind, or no, his kind. This is to be done without the internet, of course, to be together. And therefore the special togetherness had not been for the heart only. It had been in mind to have a thing that is benefiting. And it's important, I never had the chance, and I don't like it anymore, that others want to say where I am going. I'm not following the idea, and I'm not going to the point to accept, not in the least, but I'm not stubborn. I'm only saying I'm not accepting because people want to have a quick result, and then think it is an idea coming with the having won the war attitude. And this is not right. I'm not discussing about it, now understanding I am a born American, but not following the president. Because I have, first of all, having to understand why I was going, yes, I'm not officially there. Why I was going to New York, asking, and then no interest. Therefore, I'm officially not that. And it is important that it has to stop, first of all, looking at me as the prey of war. And I felt it quite a time. And it had been with Karl, the own grandfather. I did not know if he had been the manager or the owner, and now understanding, of course, he's the owner, and I don't know how much there had been, but maybe one hill or the other. And it is a thing to understand. This is not that money is there, it is possibilities. And those did it, the special togetherness. The special togetherness is with two as or one. And I'm saying I'm not following a president, not the American, not the German, not the French. It had been questioning if I could be like a counselor to entities in the world, even Russia. But I'm not doing that right now. First of all, I have to look into it. What is now there? I didn't know. And people, of course, having been prepared, I think, if something was deliberately going wrong, but maybe even doing that if it was not deliberately. By chance, it would be wrong to have something pre-built and then let me have it or not. This is false. False behaviorism. We have a world based on human rights, and it's not okay to bring me to the doctor's attention who did that. I'm the only man in the family, the only son of my mother. That is the family, my mother and me, Elsie and me. Mama had other children, and I don't know in what regard. One, I think, the youngest, was coming, I can't remember my mother being pregnant. I had been 3.5 years. Therefore, suspicions are there. But he's not saying anything. And the file records had been with the idea of protection. Therefore, I come to conclusions that governmental entities, not the whole government, I'm not against any government, but I'm not following someone's ideas. And I didn't do it. I did do it as a boy, as a minor. You do that. Maybe people understood not that I had been that young. I was wearing a beard with the age of 16 years, because having not rash, but fast exploding allergies. If there's something, I'm quite sensitive. But this is not for your interest, it's only to explain that I had to be with doctors quite often. But this is with others as well. But with me it had never been explained because of political things. Why was the birth hidden? Why had there been an attack against my two mothers? Both nearly died. And then my mother, the younger, she had a girlfriend, but not. She was not pleased with the lifestyle. She had been a Margaret, somehow from Great Britain. And with my mother, the elder, there had been another Margaret. And now understanding it could be true, those claimed it, but people said things not always being true. The many artists, they have been do that sometimes. Yes, there had not only been, and then it stopped a little bit with the age of 10, with 1978, and then it was prolonged with my being invited to help Travelsman. And he came to leaders' quarters, the White House, and I think it had been then in the Kremlin. It had been in German a Citadelle, and then a building program, a culture program to build up the culture emblems of Russia. And this had been the idea of my forefathers. The whole world was their home, and they must have had ports and other things in the system, but thinking the grandfather had been the manager, I was shy, I was hesitating to say yes. But then I understood it had been in Australia, and I gave it later again to the file record. I have no chance to find out things, but understanding politicians are working on the excuse before, and even false excuses. It could have been the idea to put me in like in an intelligence that is under order. This is a trick, of course. I had been warned, and I didn't want to do it. To go into a group that is under command, then you would lose your freedom to do things. And this I communicated quite openly. And now I cannot reach the people. Therefore, I use the internet. I'm not wanting to attack a government, but I'm not following. I don't do it. And I never heard anything being asked. I'm not using this e-com from Japan. It is a thing that is like in the Geisterbahn, in the laboratory where I once was, and a science man, he tested a thing, and I was quite shocked, and it is now disturbing, like being a side effect of something in the Schinkel. There had been in the 80s, this is a quarter in this town, in the 80s, in the papers, that people had problems with that what those regarded as being, I don't know, having visions, nightmare visions. I don't know if it is true. It is a thing I overheard others talking about. It should come from the Funkturm, from the radioing tower, and then everything was put off to look if the people had those so-called things in the head or not. And it was later the rumor that it could have to do with the barracks, with the military, the NATO military in Osnabrück. It is important that I don't like to talk too much about those things. It is time-consuming, but I have to do it. The main problem is false doctors' reports for decades. And I can't say anything about it, except it is a suspicion. Suspicion only. And I don't accept the idea that politicians go and put me in a box. Now the danger is those politicians put me in a box of nobility houses. I would kick and throw them things in the face, so to speak, if they dare to think about it. You understand? It is my freedom I like the most, and it had been all my life. If it is a need to build a house, I would do it myself. I'm young enough to do it, and it is not allowed to interpret, to have an interpretation of things I said on the doorstep of something. Yes, of course I said, if I don't manage to have a thing with 55, then you can do this and that. This is only talk. I never do it that way, that it is allowed to have a dictaphone or something else and record it. I even gave it to a man to give it to other places that is not allowed to have a digital recording of something, except me having the okay on occasions. This could be the case, but it is not. It is not that the others can decide it on themselves. And there is not something going on with Luxembourg. There had been a talk about it, and not with Monaco, and not with Liechtenstein. I have nothing against those countries, and not with the Netherlands, and not with Belgium, and Spain, and Portugal, and Denmark, and Sweden, and Norway, and Great Britain, and the United Kingdom, and the Commonwealth, and America, and Russia, and Ukraine, and Belarus, and so on, and not Switzerland, and not Austria, and Czech Republic, Slovak Republic, not, and the states of Yugoslavia, not. And this is important, and not others, not this new state bordering Ukraine, not this one, not Turkey, not Israel, not Jordania or Syria. And it's important, it isn't. I could have done so if I had been able to go into a private diplomatic career. But I understood, even asking privately or officially, it doesn't matter, someone in a special unit who was into the business of, who had been in the business of special protection, of quite renowned protection of politicians, asking him was considered to do something other state entities are being alarmed of. And then I said, okay, then I won't ask him again, and I'm not in his group. It was a talk. I could go, and I could do this and that. This is not something others can interpret as then being in place. And it is a thing I reject as being untrue, that I'm a danger or troublemaker, and it's a false thing. I found out asking a Denmark man. It was not answered in the Bundesrepublik, not at all. I said it to a police station. Those said, no, it is not possible. Are you that important? Then asked, no, we have nothing. Therefore, this answering was not there. But in Denmark, someone found out it was the false entry that I was thinking about making trouble. Maybe having seen the movie Dennis the Menace or what? I couldn't play it at first. I was quite being ordered. Otherwise, if you do not be a little bit cheeky, then it is not possible. Therefore, I could play it, and then later I was automatically on the scene, a little bit like that. This is then nearly automation. And if it is not being believed that I have been there, okay, then it's only a fairy tale. Therefore, there is legendary or art inside it. If you don't like it, I'm not going to a discussion, otherwise the doctors have then another ground or what. And I have nothing against the faces of politics. I have something against what's going on. Therefore, I think it is a thing, first of all, to understand people had been tricking. I don't know why and how. Tricking, somehow. It is normal behavior in politics, I think. But I don't like politics. With me, it would have been, and still is, architecture and engineering, and then the production line. This is from mining to the shelf. I'm still interested, and I'm interested in having teaching being made better. And I'm not doing it on my own. I'm doing it with those I then will have contracted. Right now there's nothing going on, and I have the suspicion something's going on. Maybe there are those who play the mama with their groups. It is quite important. There are some so-called religious people, and I'm a stutterer, you understand, it is coming up from time to time. There are some religious people who have this mama attitude, and it is good for the people to have someone caring for them. But I'm not following the idea that the whole thing, the whole Mutti system is working out. It's not working with me, and I was never willing to be someone who is a victim. I do not feel like a victim. Everyone had been a victim, but it is not the saying that I do not want to solve things. If there had been harm done, it is not a victor who is asking, it is someone who is a calculator. And this is important. What's going on? I don't know. But there's a telephone disturbance not being understood otherwise than there's someone who is screwing, who is pulling something or putting it deliberately. And this is then on the level of the provider, of the telephone provider, or the internet provider, and it's not good. Please understand again, false grounds could be there for years, for decades. And I'm not following the idea that I should say it to someone. I have no group. There had been a Sunday school teacher, or like it, who had a group, but this would be ridiculous. And there could be someone else who's thinking about being someone who is an elder. It is not true that this ever came to my mind to accept it. Okay, this is important. I'm filing this as a complaint to you, not officially on paper, but please file it, that there's for decades suspicious doctoring going on. Suspicious. I don't know who could do it. It could be someone who is thinking I would be in something where I had been an invited guest. This is a suspicion, but it is only to go after suspicions what could have gone wrong. It is not that I ever came to the idea to be in something. My mother was quite often, regularly, nearly everyone, every time, every one visit, then interrogating, having interrogation. How it had been. It was that I was sent, and my mother wanted to know, and then when she understood, she said, I will clear that. This is not possible. Therefore, I trusted my mother, and both mothers had been quite open that I should stay without any binding, any Anbindung. I myself later understood you need a little bit contact persons with police and other entities, but this is not contracted. It is to know people, like in the newspaper business, contact people system. I never could build, because you need money to travel. It is important that I have to complain, but I'm not a victim. I'm rather a calculator. What was going wrong? What was going wrong? I don't know, but I have suspicions. People said things, and I'm not obligated to correct everything. I wanted to correct everything, but if you overhear a thing, you cannot run after someone. Like someone saying, I speak on behalf. I heard it once. I said loudly, no, not for me, not for this name and not for that name. Therefore, with the same surname, I have not given in. This is understood if you know it. I never gave it to someone else to talk on my behalf. It is important. It is very important. We have today 28. It could be the false idea that there is someone in Schwante, near Berlin, or someone in Hamm, on the Schillerplatz, or someone formerly Lennep, now I don't know, his first name Wolfgang, and the other maybe he's Fritz as well, and he's not speaking on my behalf, both not, and not these Simon, and not the girl that is working with the Kultusministerium. She isn't, or this woman. She isn't speaking on my behalf, and not the so-called. She is not, and not the foreign minister, and not no one, because that could have false grounds, and it is, if it is legal, then it is not allowed for others, and not for the Mr. Steinmeier, and not for Miss Merkel, and not what else? Wüst? Not him. And I would give it, and not Mr. Schröder, no, as well not, because everyone, very shortly, because there had been so-called Fördertopf. There had been private group who wanted to sponsor politicians. Therefore, you come into short contact to look if you can give your okay as well. Therefore, if someone wanted to be a politician, there had been a chance, if he was fitting, in the opinion of some people, he could have received funding. And that had been with Mr. Scholz, but he's not speaking on my behalf, and not this, not Habeck, and no one. Because it is not possible. I wanted to do it myself. It is not possible, legally not. And not Mr. Putin, and not Mr. Biden, not Mr. Obama, not Mr. Trump, and not Mr. Bush, and not the man in between. You understand? He's not speaking on my behalf, the other president in the United States. What is his name? Let me look it up. The presidents, because I have suspicion people do things because they are used not to be affected. It is not allowed that someone is speaking on my behalf because I wanted to do it myself. President of the US, not Mr. Trump. It is of course a thing, you understand. It is only, but not Barack Obama, not Bill Clinton, not Ronald Reagan, not Jimmy Carter. Of course, he's not alive anymore, I think. Or is he? But no one is speaking on my behalf because it's not necessary. And I understand not the president of Turkey, not the president or chancellor, or what his name is, of Israel, and not of Jordania, or not, I don't know what, not Mexico, and not Canada, and this, and not Denmark and Sweden, and not the king in Sweden, and not the queen in Sweden, or queen of, I don't know, and not the king of Britain, Mr. Charles, not, no. No one is doing it because it is not necessary. You understand? I'm now coming to conclusions that there is an excuse built in, and not in Asia. No one, not Malaysia, and not. And I had short contacts, yes, but it would be a rather strange thing if someone. It is totally. Unnecessary to say a name, because no one. I can still do it, and for every day, and not the so-called helper, and not the Pfleger, or is he called Betreuer. It was forced by government. It is not for 1 second. It is allowed for someone, and not a family doctor, no one. No one from Sommerland 5, no one, and not someone in what's his name, in Baden-Württemberg, not this Mr. Kretschmer, and not others, and not someone from the Taufbecken here. I don't know his name. I knew him a little bit. He is leading an intelligence group, I think, no, he's not speaking on my behalf, in some country, and not in the other. And this is now strange. Who could have done something? Who could have done something? Because I expected things, and then it was said my mother was having dementia or having dreams, not understanding it had been from others, and not Spain, of course not, and not Portugal, because I could do it, and not Brazil and not Argentina and not Chile and so on. I could have done it, and I would have liked to do so. Today I'm only one, but I could find the others. And it is important, I do not like to be forced. I do not like people to take over responsibility, because I think that a system of war, and war after war, and then having been frozen things, could have been misused. A system of don't know what, but it is not an excuse. It was postponed from 1860, and I don't know if it was a thing not being in effect for a manager. It now is. Only recently, my mother being a manager for Victoria Luise of Braunschweig-Lüneburg, the Kaiser daughter, she would have been not the girl, not the woman receiving. But now putting it shockingly enough in the right understanding, and even with Papa. Papa said shortly before his death, I will go to an attorney, and I went with him. He was filing it in an office of the state, and I hope it is right that he was officially there. You could do it privately. You could do it privately in an office of the state, then looking like being official. Then it would have been a thing. Yes, I believed it is a thing you can't sell, but if you have a position of honor, and I don't know what it was, he filed it, and it had to do with things I now understand is more important to know, to have an understanding who my Papa had been, the raising father had been. There's a difference, of course, between raising father and the lawful and biological father Fritz Johann, and the lawful and biological grandfather Karl Urban. And it is important that the other names must have had then rightful values as well. And this is a thing, shortly came to my attention, and it is not good. That I now understand, in Florida, it was said this country could be yours. Could be or is. And then I understood it is a land that is swampland. Is it there to be given away for nothing? Of course, I do not expect things without a document. This then I regard it as a joke. And this is not that I accept it. I'm not following the idea that I will have a thing and then write something down, like being now an American, and then for exchange you give things. I don't do it. I was born there, if it is true what I think, but I'm not selling nothing. I'm selling nothing. Because I'm not going into the idea that I should have known. I couldn't, because it was given in the way, like preparing an excuse for the later days if it is blown up. But I cannot accuse someone. I'm only saying it could be the spirit of the time to do things. What is it with Disney? There had been a rumor, there could be something. Of course, later you could work there. But what is it? And then the politicians say it is the dumb state of Germany where all the losers are. I'm not in a loser's country. It is a thing. In former days, I often felt like being the bounty of war, and I'm not. Therefore, it is the state officials who have a good conscience and who are forcing their way through, and it is in every country, in Switzerland, in this Federal Republic, former Germany, and in the DDR, as well as in the Bundesrepublik, the Western. It is important that it is not about the values only, it is about the chances, the possibilities. And then please do not hide behind a little bit weak or yes, looking disabled children, now adults, of course, like me, because mother cared for the disabled, and she then took in boys. I don't know about that. It was not explained. Mothers don't do it. Everyone was treated the same, but this does not give them the same legal rights. And I have no siblings in Hessen. The rumor came up, you have siblings there. I don't. And I thought siblings are those in the church. Therefore you don't say anything to it. If it is said in German, da ist noch eine Glaubensschwester. There is a believing sister. You say often there's a sister, and the others say it. And you say, oh, of course, again, someone who is wanting to have... no, it is others saying it. I'm not a brother. It is looking like I want to sneak my way in, but I'm a believer. And it is important that I'm not in a church, and I do not want to join a church. Because now understanding, it is the church people who could have been quite sneaky. And it is no excuse to the church, and no excuse to the state. It is a thing for the banks and those who are guardians of goods. Yes, every state has it. This is like the Grundbuchamt, the file records, and so on. And it's important, I first want to know, but I'm preparing my way as well. I'm stating again that I don't like the idea that false doctors have been there, and maybe some thought it would help me, but it is not. If someone is now going to this state official, he's showing that he wants to take advantage of the situation where the unclear things are. And this is very interesting. Then it would give an idea that it could have been prepared. The setting, I mean, would then be that strange that it couldn't be coincidence anymore. And this could involve Denmark, Netherlands. Those two countries have been quite interesting to me, and those have interest in me. Some people, of course, not everyone. I'm not against nationalities. I'm not against. It is in the spirit, countries, it is in the spirit of the old days that I look at the character. And I was raised that way, therefore I'm not dreaming. Please, if you had the time, 1 hour, maybe it is possible to understand. I would rather like to speak German, but you maybe are more important, because in this country no one is ever giving any idea that the kingship had been important. It is the false spirit that it was the responsibility that in former days there had been poor men working the ground and poor men in the factories. I don't saw it that way, because I was raised to be righteous in my thinking, and I ask you to do the same. Thank you very much. My name is Friedrich. This is a real name, and I don't know this Friedrich Merz in person. I had a little bit contact, as with the others, not more. I don't know him in person. It is very little contact, and please bear in mind, I'm not against him. I'm not letting myself being misused like someone breaking in or pushing someone out of office. I don't do that, because it is the quality that counts. It is the quality. If there's something going wrong, I first want to know. It could be prepared to look, to put it into the shoes, to look false. You need real doctoring in the detective work. No, other way as well. Real detecting in the doctor's work, and this is totally missing. Therefore, please do not take heed what the false doctors' reports state. But some illnesses I really have. Those illnesses you can look in the laboratory, and some, no, most of the other strange honor-cutting things are maybe 99%. Maybe I'm a little bit loud. This is quite usual. Thank you very much.